Okay, so for those of you wondering how I do my airbrushing, I use an Iwata Neo TRN1 with a 0.355 millimeter needle inside. My air pressure on my tank compressor is set at 60 because once you pull the trigger, the pressure does drop down. So that way you're not really losing much of that pressure that is suggested for use for blowing your paints through. For paint, I have this color shift from Hobby Lobby paint, airbrush paint thinner that I make myself because it's a lot cheaper and I can make it by the gallon. Use 50% distilled water, 50% Windex, and 6 drops of glycerin. Shake it all up really well, put it in a smaller bottle, boom, ready to go. To clean my airbrush, I make my own airbrush cleaner. Use 70% distilled water, 10% Windex, and 20% of a 91% alcohol. Plain rubbing alcohol, but it must be 91%. You also need a spray out pot for when you are changing colors, cleaning out your airbrush, getting any leftover paint residue inside it out. And you will need a little cup or something to mix your acrylic paint with your paint thinner in it, something to stir it. And I use a pipette to pull it from the cup and put it into my airbrush. I have a plain stainless steel tumbler already prepped, ready to paint. Turn my fan on. My compressor is already going, set at 60 psi. Now I'm going to mix my paint. As you see, brand new. I haven't previously mixed it or anything like that. So we'll get it open and get it thinned out. Thinning it is not an exact science. You just see how thick that is. Pour some of it in your cup. I have a 1 milliliter dropper and I put a few squirts in to start. Stir it up really good. You don't want it super watery, but you do not want it to still be that thick because it will not push through that needle of your airbrush. See, it's still way too thick. It's not dripping off. So, add some more. Stir it up. That's getting a lot better consistency right there. Add just a tiny bit so that it flows real nice and smoothly. It doesn't clog up your gun. And as you can see, that is pretty liquidy. I mean, it's moving pretty good. So you get it to be able to drip like this, you're good. So you just take it. Should easily pull up in that pipette. Squirt it down in here. And when you start to spray, always start off of your project and then move back and forth, even motions up and down. You don't want to sit in one spot too long because it will cause the paint to run. And just keep your item moving. you're going to do this in even, thin coats. You do not want a full coverage your first go around. Thin coat, dry it, then come back and do another one. Or else you're going to get those clumps and those runs that everybody has problems with regular spray paint. And this is basically all there is to doing this. It's super easy to do this. It's very cheap. You save a lot of money, so that way your profit when you sell, you get a higher profit margin versus wasting your money on buying name brand airbrush paints. And these work just as well, and once they're sealed, they're good to go. You won't have any problems. As you see, it's just going on there nice and smooth. Hit the bottom of your tumbler. Let it sit for just a little bit to dry some. You can hit it with your heat gun very quickly to get it dried, especially if you're using a matte paint. But if you're using a high gloss acrylic paint, it will cause it to crack. So if you're doing a crackle look, that might be what you want to do to get that crackle effect. If you have any more questions, please feel free to drop me a message below.